I think entrepreneurship is probably the only, let's say, industry, if we want to call it
Hmm.
that, where people expect overnight
Hmm.
success. And in regards to real estate investing, that is a big one where it is marketed, advertised. Oh, this is so easy. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have any experience, any money. And I call bullshit on
Hmm.
that. And it kind of pisses me off that that is advertised because then people try to do it. And if they don't see overnight success, then they're frustrated and they quit,
Hmm.
right? Entrepreneurship is just like anything else. People go to college to study for 4+ years, then you graduate, and then you get a low, on the totem
Yeah.
pole job, and you got to work your way up. You got to learn. You got to get
Hmm.
experience. You got to be in the real world
Hmm.
doing it. Entrepreneurship is the exact same thing. So why do we expect overnight success? Why don't we give ourselves the same grace and patience to learn and experience, building a business just like we would building a
Hmm.
career?
Welcome back to the Happy Positive Energy Game podcast with me, your host, Luke Anning. And I hope all of you beautiful people are feeling bright and warm. And if not, that is exactly why we are here today. I've got, oh my goodness, one of my favorite people in the world has come onto this podcast. We've pushed it back a couple
Hi.
times, but we're here now. So I've got Misty Hassenstab. She is a business and mindset coach living a state of positivity and purpose and helping others achieve the same. She's also a full time entrepreneur and just a straight up badass when it comes to just entrepreneurship. So, Misty, welcome, welcome, welcome in.
Hey, hey, hey. So glad to be here. I'm so excited we finally got to do this. Life gets in the way sometimes, but we're brought back to each other and I'm just so pumped to be here and to chat with my buddy all the way across the world.
Mhm.
So Luke, it's just so good to see you and I'm excited to speak to your audience.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a really exciting episode. Me and Misty met in a group container under Rob Dial, the mindset mentor, and then we've both ventured off into our own spaces of mindset and impacting people. So I think you guys are in for a real awesome episode. So I want you to definitely tune in for the entire one for this one. But Misty, you able to give a brief
Yes.
overview of where you're at and how you got to where you're at now so that the audience have got a bit of an idea of where you were and how you got here?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am, like Luke said, a full-time entrepreneur. I'm also a real estate investor, and that's the audience that I coach are female real estate investors. I coach them on how to build their real estate investing businesses and the what I call the CEO mindset to make it a success. And the funny thing is I had no interest in real estate investing at all whatsoever. My husband has for the whole time. We'll be celebrating 20 years together this year, and he's always been interested in it. And we both worked in or for a general contractor. I'd worked in human resources and business. He was a civil engineer and building things and on that side of the business, and basically we got sick and tired of working for somebody else, working so many hours, and we quit our jobs. We traveled for a while, and then we moved to Texas, which is where I am, where I live, where I'm based, where all of our projects and whatnot are. And we dove headfirst into real estate investing. And I still didn't want anything to do with it when we got here. I was going to go back to doing HR, which was silly, really, when I think about it now and knowing everything I know now, because I wasn't happy doing what I was doing. And I was just going to go back to it because I grew up, you go to school, you get a degree, you get a job, you climb that ladder, and happy life, right? And so I didn't really know any other way. I didn't have any entrepreneurs in my family. And so diving into the real estate investing business with my husband was scary. And the reason that I joined him was because I realized all of the skills that I had in human resources and business could really help our real estate investing business. And so I was like, you know what? Let's do this. Like, we can always go back to work, and fortunately we've not had to. We just celebrated 6 years of entrepreneurship in November of last year. And, we're never going to go back to work for somebody else. And on my real estate investing journey, women would come to me and want guidance and support. And there's not a lot of females in the investing side of things. On the agent side, the more traditional side of real estate, there's a lot of females. But when you're actually doing investing, flipping, properties and building things and building rental portfolios, it is more male dominated. And so I found this, I really wanted to help these women. I love helping people. It's my big, big passion, my big why. And then, just kind of fell into coaching and then joined, obviously, Rob's program to help me build my coaching business. And been loving it. That's what I do every day, all day now, is help other women build their businesses and their mindset. And my husband actually runs all of our projects. And it's been amazing. And the best part about it, other than helping amazing women do it, is the flexibility and freedom that I now have in my life. And I'm a new mom. I have a beautiful 9-month-old daughter. I can't believe I'm saying she's 9 months old already. And the fact that I get to spend my mornings with her if I want to, take a whole day to snuggle her if she's not feeling well, go to her school for all of that stuff. The flexibility and freedom that I have from being an entrepreneur is like, I can't even explain it. It's one of the most beautiful things. It's what I really wanted as a mom. And then being able to share that and help other women achieve that as well and be more present with their families and their children and their grandchildren and their spouses. Man, I mean, what a gift. Like, it just is, it's been such a beautiful journey, and I just want to keep going, and I want to just impact as many people and show people that even if you were taught, I was actually just listening to a podcast about this, Cass's podcast, where she had Simon and Amar on. Even though you're taught that the only way to go is school and degree and get a job and safe, that if you're not happy doing that and that's not in you, to explore and to really step outside the comfort zone and find the right coach or mentor or program or support or community to help you do that. Because it isn't an easy journey, but it's a beautiful one. And you and I know that. And I just, that's why I love what you do and what I do and what all of the people in our circle do, because we get that message out there and we help people truly create a life that they love living, a business that they love living, all encompassing. And I mean, the fact we get to wake up and do this every day, all day, like, yeah. Sign me up. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. But yeah, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. But yeah, it's been fun.
So I wanted to tally off one of the questions that came up for me when you were speaking, and you having the now freedom to actually have that time with your daughter. I know a lot of people are looking for time and freedom within their lives, but conceivably, like, if you don't expand yourself and step into taking that brave step into entrepreneurship and you'd gone back to HR, you never would have been able to actually access that, right? So I think the question is, why do you think it's so important for people to step into an idea that they may have about stepping into entrepreneurship?
I think, we always, nobody wants to lay on the deathbed or live their final days wondering what if. And I think, if you feel that in you, some people are totally happy, and content, getting a paycheck and doing it that way. I was one of those people. And I'll tell you, Luke, like, honest to God, I almost went back to work so many times because the entrepreneurship journey and road was so damn hard. It really was. It was so rough, and I didn't think I was cut out for it. And thank goodness then I surrounded myself with the right people, like-minded people on the same journey as me, that we could share together and get the right coaches to really correct my mindset, because it's so different being an employee versus being, an entrepreneur. And you really, I mean, you have to go for it, but you also need that
Mm-hmm.
support. And then when you see the glimpses of what life is, can be and is, and what you're creating, I mean, you don't want to go
Mm-hmm.
back. Even on the hardest days, like, I don't want to go back to work for somebody else. I don't want to give up this freedom that I've created for myself. And I'm so grateful that I stuck it out, but I would never have stuck it out if I wouldn't have had multiple coaches, an amazing community, the tribe that I've created, for myself. And, I don't even want to think about what life would be like if I hadn't gone down this path.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're pondering it, right? If it's something that you're like, man, I wonder what if, you don't have to jump all in like we did.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we literally quit our jobs and jumped all in. Little crazy. Looking back, we probably would have eased in a little bit, but that was the way we did it. It's fine, and that was our journey, and I don't regret it. But a lot of the women that I coach, they are still working their full-time jobs and building these businesses on the
Mm-hmm.
side. So you can absolutely do that. Dip your toe in a little bit, see what it's like, get the proper, resources and support, and then, see what happens. And you can always
Mm-hmm.
stop if it's not something you want to do, but how terrible would it be to go, what if, what if, what if?
Mm-hmm.
I never want to live a life of what
Mm-hmm.
ifs. And as scary as it was at times, there were times we didn't know how we were going to pay our bills. That's scary.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't know how we were going to eat. We didn't know, but I don't regret any of it, because it's made me the person that I am today. And I'm a hell of a lot stronger of a person today than I was 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, if something is nudging you that you want more out of life, even within your own career, I would
Mm-hmm.
say, find the proper, support to help you better understand that, and go further in
Mm-hmm.
that too. Or maybe you want a side hustle, or maybe you do want to leave your job and go all in. But if you got that nudge, explore
Mm-hmm.
it. Just start exploring it, because if you don't, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it comes to that point with entrepreneurship where the scary thing is that, like, somewhat, if you screw up, it is on you. Like, the income is just from you,
Mm.
and that can be really, really
Yep.
scary. And there's definitely been times where I've reflected on quitting. I think there were a string of 6 or 7 weeks where it was like every single week I was like, maybe I'll just pick up a sales job, or maybe I'll just do this. And I think there was a period where you supported me a little bit. Maybe it was just after an anxiety attack. This was a while back, and I think,
I think so. I remember that.
and I'd
Yeah.
had it, and
Hmm.
then
Hmm.
I was like, I'm just having thoughts of like giving up, and then you were like, you just ponder that for a little bit, and then like come back with it, and I was like, no, I don't want to quit.
If you're not having thoughts about quitting, then you're probably not doing it
Mm,
right. You know what I mean? Like in the beginning, because it's such a drastic jump. And I'll say that's probably whenever I do these types of interviews and somebody asks me, what's your like biggest advice is jumping from that being an employee to an entrepreneur, and getting that support, because my husband and I thought, we have a construction background. He grew up, his parents were entrepreneurs. They had their own business, their own concrete
mm,
construction business. We did very well in corporate. We could do
mm,
this. This will not be easy, but will be
mm,
easier. It is such a drastic
mm,
difference between, getting that steady paycheck, and like you said, if you screw up, like if we screwed up in our old job, yeah, we probably get a little reprimanded, but we still get the
mm,
paycheck, unless it's a big screw up and we get fired or something, but we're still getting that paycheck every, week or month or whatever. This is
mm,
different. And so really understanding that, managing people and putting processes in place. And I mean, it's a whole new world. And so just please give yourself grace and
mm,
patience to learn
mm,
this. I think entrepreneurship is probably the only, let's say, industry, if we want to call it
Hmm.
that, where people expect overnight
Hmm.
success. And in regards to real estate investing, that is a big one where it is marketed, advertised. Oh, this is so easy. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have any experience, any money. And I call bullshit on
Hmm.
that. And it kind of pisses me off that that is advertised because then people try to do it. And if they don't see overnight success, then they're frustrated and they quit,
Hmm.
right? Entrepreneurship is just like anything else. People go to college to study for 4+ years, then you graduate, and then you get a low, on the totem
Right.
pole job, and you got to work your way up. You got to learn. You got to get
Mm.
experience. You got to be in the real world
Mm.
doing it. Entrepreneurship is the exact same thing. So why do we expect overnight success? Why don't we give ourselves the same grace and patience to learn and experience, building a business just like we would building a
Hmm.
career? That's like one of the most important messages that I get out there
Hmm.
is that having that grace and patience with yourself, because I
Hmm.
didn't, and it made my journey that much
Yeah.
harder. And I see that every day with the women that I work
Hmm.
with. They find me after trying to do this for months or a year or
Hmm.
whatever, and they are just
Hmm.
defeated because they feel like they failed when they really haven't given themselves a proper chance or the proper tools or the proper
Right.
support. And so you got to give yourself time to learn
Hmm.
this, and understand what it is you even want to
Hmm.
create. You can go so many different directions with a business, even within the same
Hmm.
industry. And you don't really know what you want until you're in it and you're doing
Hmm.
it. And then you might got to pivot, or you might, so I mean, grace and patience all day long. Like it is essential. It is a requirement in
Hmm.
order to do this and succeed and not freak out,
Hmm.
constantly. You're still going to freak out here and there, but talk yourself off the ledge type thing. That's what grace and patience will help you with, really understanding that this is a journey.
Hmm.
And it's a great one to be on, but it's going to be a little bit of a roller coaster from time to time.
Hmm.
But that's okay. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. You
Yeah,
know.
for sure. And I think with where you're at now with your new baby girl, I think that even comes
Hmm.
forward even more, right? Of having to have that grace and patience and trust and lean into
Hmm.
that. So I'm
Hmm.
curious for you, what's like one of your go-to things that helps you stay in this space of grace and trust and sort of learning the lessons as you go? Like what's one thing? It might not even be one thing, but it might just be like a mindset thing. But
Yeah.
if there was
Yeah.
a practice, what would it
Um,
be?
So, for me, what I've honestly discovered, especially recently, is I need a coach at all times. I need a life coach, a business coach. I'm currently working with a trauma
Mm-hmm.
coach. Um, I need a community. I
Mm-hmm.
need it's when I decided to leave the Kaizen
Mm-hmm.
community and mastermind, it was the right decision for me at that time, but I didn't replace it with
Right.
anything. And I definitely felt a little lost, and I was on the verge of becoming a new mom, and I didn't have my tribe. I didn't have all the support that I had had for almost a full
Mm-hmm.
year. And um I was lost, and especially having her, and she came into the world very suddenly and a little
Mm-hmm.
scary, and that's part of what I'm working through with my trauma coach. The first 2 months of being a mom, I was miserable. I was like, what did I do? Can I handle this? It was everything I ever wanted, but I was like, what the hell did I do? And I really truly believe that if I would have had a coach, a community, support during that time, it would have been a much easier
Mm-hmm.
transition. And I'm also finding, as I am now working with one of our community members, Cassandra, I'm hiring her marketing and branding agency to help me expand my business. That's
Mm-hmm.
scary. That's leveling up. This is a new thing for me, and I'm having imposter syndrome and self doubt and all of that. And the wonderful thing is now I have coaches, like she's a coach,
Hmm.
so she can help coach me a little bit. And I have Ashley, even though she's working with me on trauma stuff, like we're working through stuff in my past. And guess what? A lot of the stuff that's coming up now in my present is because of my
Hmm.
past and things I haven't healed
Hmm.
from, and self doubt and imposter syndrome and those sorts of things. So we are working through all of that as it's coming up so that I can proceed forward in growing my business, in being a wonderful mother, in being an amazing wife, in building a life that I'm very proud of. And, now having that support, like, I love being a mom. I mean, I can't imagine, like, I'll start crying if I love being a mom. And it's crazy to even think that, like, for 2 months, I thought anything else. And it's just like having that support. Ugh,
You can
sorry.
cry, yo.
Anyways, but it's like having that support and being able to really talk through, work through, do the necessary mindset work, and have that support along the way is everything to me. And that really I used to I was thinking like, oh, I'm not journaling, I'm not making time for myself, because as a new mom you don't have time,
Mm.
right? um and yes, all those things are very important to me and I need to do them, but man, having a coach, having that
Mm.
support, I have to have that in my
Mm.
life. I've just realized that I have
Mm.
to. And so I will always have that, because there's always going to be things, there's always going to be leveling up. I want to continue to grow. I don't want to sit stagnant. And that's how I was feeling for that
Mm.
time that I didn't have that. And it didn't feel good, and I don't want to ever go back
Mm.
there. And so that is something I will always have in my
Mm.
budget, is to have a coach or have a community or both or whatever else. I will make that work for me and my business and my life, because it is that important.
Mm. This is a great question. So, how do you budget yourself a space
Mm,
for having a coach, for having personal development? Because I know if we're looking back a few years ago, like having a coach was a luxury, right? And somewhat it's like
right.
somewhat having this self actualization, this personal development at the top is. And so many people, I think, especially with where the world is going at the moment, like I personally choose not to be
Mm.
affected by it, but I think it's good to talk to that space anyhow. How do you allocate for a coach? How do you allocate your finances that
You
way?
know, so when I first joined, Business Breakthrough, that was the program that you and I met in, right? Rob's program. I didn't have that money.
Yeah, same.
That went on a credit card, and it was scary, but I just was like, you know what, I truly believe that this is where I need to be. This is the program for me. This is the coach for me. And for us, we were hiring a coach or joining a program or whatever to help us make
Mm.
money. So that definitely did
Mhm.
help, right? But what I've found is I am going to make more money even if I'm working with, say, a trauma
Mm.
coach, not a coach of coaches or whatever, right? Me working with my trauma coach, Ashley, is helping me immensely in my
Mm.
business, because it's teaching me, stuff like imposter syndrome and self doubt and things like that are popping
Mm.
up. And so it doesn't matter what kind of coach I'm working with, it's going to affect all areas of my life
Mm.
positively, right? It's going to affect my business, it's going to affect my personal life, it's going to affect my friendships, it's going to affect, everything, mindset, I mean, all of it. So, I just wanted to say
Mm.
that, like, don't only hire a coach if, like, oh, I only justify it if I'm hiring a business
Right.
type coach,
Yep.
right? Because that's not true. If you hire a mindset coach, a freedom coach, what a positivity coach, like, that is going to absolutely help you make more money in whatever you're doing, whether you have a job or you have a
Mm.
business. And then, now basically we just like I have a marketing budget, right? We allocate a certain amount of funds aside that go toward coaches, masterminds, programs to help our personal growth and development. Both myself and my husband. He also, goes through programs and was part of a mastermind when I was part of the Kaizen mastermind. It just becomes almost like you have your travel budget, you have your marketing budget in your business, you have your, food and shelter budget, you have your personal growth and development budget. And so that's kind of what we've done. And then, when we're looking at something like, for example, hiring Cass and her agency, she is a coach as well, and she's going to do marketing and branding for me. Well, we have to look at, ROI or returns on investment. Well, if we invest this much per month, what is the anticipated return on investment there? So you can get more, I guess, like specific in regards to those types of returns in that situation. But if you're just thinking like, hey, I could use some mindset help, you know what I mean? You can't really look at it in
Right.
that way. But just know, and we can both attest to this, that when you start working on your mindset, everything else in your life gets better. Everything. You level up in so many ways. You show up differently. You're able to handle certain situations better. You're able to make decisions better, especially in your business. That's a big one with the CEO mindset that I teach the women that I work with to help make decisions more logically in your business versus emotionally. It really does. So I would say if that's something that you want to get into, I mean, I don't know if this is good advice, but do what I did and put it on a credit card at
Yeah.
first. And then when you can, really budget it out and just always have a little,
Like a pot.
little nest egg there. Yeah, with growth and development
Yeah.
funds that you can. And I listen to Darren Hardy. He does a Darren Daily every day. And what he did was um, every when he made money, he would take a certain percentage of it. I think it was 10 or 20% of the profit, and he would put it aside. And that was for personal growth and development. And so he just kept, even if he only made $10, you know what I mean? He would just, say it's 10%, put $1 away, and that adds up over time. And then you build your little growth and development nest egg that you can then go and actually invest in programs, coaches, masterminds, all that good stuff. So anybody can do it. You just have to be intentional, and you have to know that you're worth it. A lot of people will go and spend, I'll say it in my opinion, stupid money on stupid things. I don't understand when people tell me, oh, I don't have the money, and then I see on Facebook they went and bought a $500 purse. You know, that's your priority. That's fine, and that's okay. But if you truly want it, you will make it happen, and it is worth every penny. You are the best investment you will ever make is on yourself. 100%.
Mic drop. Um, but yeah, I totally agree with you. Like even something if you've never ever allocated pots before ever in your life, I think even something like, hey, like 5% or 10% just goes to that pot, and
Yep.
it's scary when you first do it.
Yep.
Like transparent. Like I spent like my entire first six figure that I made from my coaching because I just was not financially literate. I didn't allocate pots at all, and that's another skill that you get to learn as your entrepreneurship develops. So,
Yep.
Misty, just backtracking a little bit because I think this is a really valuable thing around mindset. I know this is quite a deep topic, but during the Kaizen event, there was a lot of breakdowns. I'm pretty sure everybody broke down at some point.
Yeah.
But I know part of that was your mindset around having your baby daughter, and there was like a block, right? And a lot of people have this, and I know family who've had this as well, have had blocks with having children. But what was that block, and how did you overcome it?
I think blocks that you have, sometimes you don't even know they're blocks until you're like taken to that
Yeah,
place.
guided.
And a big part of it, it was, my husband and I had been together a long time with just the two of us,
Mm.
right? And we decided to have kids later in life. I'm 39. I had her when I was 38. And it was, am I capable? Am I worthy? It kind of always comes back to that. Everything always comes back to, am I capable? Am I
Mm.
worthy? And actually, on my whiteboard, I have had this on my whiteboard for since my very first coach that I ever worked with, a life and business coach, Deidre Kiesling, changed my life.
Mm.
And we worked through this, and well, we started working through it. And it says, I'm 100% capable of, worthy and capable of success, right? And success to me now is totally different than what it was
Mm.
then. And I think a big part of that is the same thing with motherhood, with how is this going to change my life? How is this going to change my relationship? Am I ready for this? Am I going to be a good mom? Are we financially ready for this? It's always kind of scary when you're a business owner. But you have to work through that, because one of the fears that we work through as a business owner is, well, what if it all goes
Mm.
away, right? What if it goes away overnight? And we can't live our lives like that. There's no there that doesn't make any sense. And I remember, I scaled my coaching business very
Mm.
quickly, and that was one of the fears, was like, oh my gosh, what if this just goes away overnight? And I remember having Rob help me with that. But it's really understanding, having the awareness to understand why you're feeling what you're feeling, whatever that is, whether it's starting a family, starting a business, ending a relationship. That was a big thing for me. My first Kaizen event that you weren't there yet was, I had so much growth. I had so much work to do on myself, and I was like, I don't even know myself. And what if the actual Misty, like, what if, and Jason, we weren't married at the time. We got married at our 18-year anniversary, and I was like, what if my boyfriend doesn't like the person that I am, like the true person that I am. And so we have these, I don't want to call them crazy thoughts, because they're real
Mm.
thoughts, they're real emotions. And it's really acknowledging that you're having them first and foremost, as crazy as they
Mm.
sound. We've been together so long. Everyone's like, why do you think he would leave you? And I'm like, well, I don't even know who I am. What if he doesn't like who I am? I don't
Mm.
know. And we have these thoughts, and we aren't crazy. These are real thoughts, feelings, emotions, and we have to first feel
Mm.
them, acknowledge them, feel them, sit with them, dig into them, understand them, find out where they come from, and then you release them. You heal them and you release them. And I am so grateful for the work that I did in Kaizen, because actually at that event in Mexico, I was pregnant with Adeline, and I didn't know.
Mm.
Very, very, very early on, but I didn't know. And that was the big thing, was we were trying to get pregnant, and we'd only started trying a couple months
Mm.
prior. And you know, then we found out in October, and it was just like, I was
Mm.
ready. I was so ready. And I had a beautiful
Mm.
pregnancy. I actually miss being pregnant, which is kind of crazy to say. But I loved being pregnant, and her delivery day was a little scary, but I used a lot of the mindset
Mm.
work that we learned, to help me get through it. And so then, when the first couple of months where I was really struggling, that shocked
Mm.
me, because I was like, man, I was so ready for this. Why am I struggling so much? I wanted this so badly. Why am I struggling so much? So again, I went through that exact same cycle of acknowledging my feelings, voicing them, understanding them, feeling them, sitting with them,
Mm.
and then healing and releasing them. And then I was able to enjoy motherhood, and I've enjoyed it every single day since.
Mm.
I mean, even on the toughest days, the no sleep, the puke all over you. I mean, it is amazing. But I had to feel everything that I needed to feel, and just really just sit with it in order to heal and release it, in order to get to that place. And that goes for anybody around anything that you're struggling with, that you have a block
Mm.
with. We push it down and push it down and push it down. Oh, you're fine. I'm fine.
Mm.
Right? Everything's fine. We're fine. It's okay. Everything's going to be great. Bullshit. Just get it
Mm,
out, right? Say I feel like a crappy mom right now, or I'm terrified to start a business, or I'm scared to fail, or I'm scared to succeed, or I want to leave my whatever spouse, or whatever it is. Like, say it out
mm,
loud, feel it, and really truly be honest with yourself. Because until then, you're going to carry that with you
mhm,
forever, and you're going to feel that forever. And if I still felt the way that I did the first 2 months of being a mom, oh my gosh, Luke, I don't even know. I don't think I could live with myself. Like, that would not be enjoyable at all. Or even if I felt the way that I felt the first few years of entrepreneurship,
mm,
right? Until I got mindset help,
mhm,
right? Um, I mean, that's the best gift you can give yourself is to feel and heal, and it's
mhm.
hard. It's so hard, but it's so damn worth it. I mean, every time I have a breakthrough, every time I heal myself from something, um, so many other things get better too that I didn't even realize it was negatively impacting.
Mhm.
And so it's like a gift that keeps on giving, even
Mm.
though it's hard to go through. It's worth all the time and feeling and pain,
Mhm.
and it's so worth it for sure.
So I loved this response. I thought it was really, really powerful. And there was a question coming to mind, which was, what's the difference between HR employed Misty versus the
Mm.
mindset of current Misty?
Ooh, I have never been asked that. That's a good question. So I will say one of the things I loved about HR is developing people, training and developing people. I love to bring out the full potential of people or help them see
Mm.
their full potential and go for it. And so that's the amazing part about what I do now is I get to do that
Mhm.
now, right? So I get to take all the things I love about HR and roll it over into my business, which is amazing because I did love HR. I would say the difference is I remember I remember I mean I literally was so miserable going to work that I was seeing three specialists at the time. When this was before I quit. Well, I was going to quit, and then I ended up getting laid off, which worked out. They ended up starting to lay off all the HR people in the
Mm.
company, which was actually great because then I got what's it called, where you get a severance
Yeah.
package. There we go. And I was in Hawaii, so then I was in Hawaii for a month where I didn't have to work, so I got to go explore and do all that. So it was super super fun. But before that, I was seeing three different specialists for stomach problems, migraines, and chest
Wow.
pains, and all three of them said you need to quit your
Mm.
job. And what did I say, Luke? There's no way I can quit my job. How can I quit my job? I need a paycheck. So I was willing to suffer through stomach, migraines and chest
Mm.
pains in order to keep this stupid job, right? So looking back at that, I'm like, what? Like, who would do that first
Mm.
and foremost, right? And then I look at also like, I loved my coworkers, but there was so much drama. There was so much talking about people and things and so much unhappiness. And we used to go party our asses off on the weekends. That was how we
Mhm.
coped. We all worked crazy hours. We were all not very happy at our jobs, and we would just go get drunk
Mhm.
every weekend. You know what I mean? And we were in Hawaii, so we were having a great time. And that was the norm for so long that I just thought that was the
Mm.
norm. That was just how life was going to be lived. And as long as I could let loose on the weekends, and sometimes during the
Mm.
week, I would say, you know what I mean? Then it was fine. I'm fine. Everything's fine, right? And now it's totally different. I mean, the circle of people that I'm around, a lot of them are entrepreneurs, a lot of them are in personal growth and
Mm.
development. The conversations that I'm having with people like this, like I don't want to have BS conversations with people.
Mm.
Like I want to have like let's talk real things. Let's talk goals. Let's talk, And I remove myself from situations that I don't think are healthy for me. I don't just stay, right? I remove myself. I don't have to work with people that are disrespectful, that are drama. And so I have a choice now that I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have to work with you. In the industry that I work in real estate investing, there are a lot of, kind of shady people and all about money, 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 money. I am not that at all. I am all about creating a life of positivity, purpose, and passion. And then that will create money for you. And so I'm surrounding myself, even in my industry and outside of my industry, with those types of people. I am very, very selective in who I am around and what I subject myself to when it comes to even outside things like, TV, books, podcasts, all of that stuff. I never used to listen to podcasts before. I never really read books or listened to Audible. Again, I was just about, hey, these are my coworkers. I'm with them all day. Go party with them in the weekends. That was my life. I can't imagine life like that again. I can't imagine not having supportive, growth minded people around me and listening to podcasts every day and listening to books and being part of masterminds and programs and continuing to better myself and also show that to my daughter. I don't want her to see a mom that's, you know what I mean? Like, but that doesn't, I want her to see the person that I am now, but I also know I had to be that Misty to kind of cope with what was going on and all of that. And that's okay for that time. I forgive her for all of that. And it was fun. I'm not going to lie. We had a good time. We were young. We were in Hawaii. We were having a good time. But looking back, it's like, wow, I see things so much differently in the person that I was then and the person that I am now. And I'm very proud of leaving that job, even though, I got laid off. I was going to quit a month later anyways. I'm very proud of the path that I've chosen and the work that I've done on myself. And it's okay to look back and say, well, yeah, she was young and had fun and all that, but I want to be me now. You know what I mean? I'm very happy being me now. And I see that a lot with the women that I coach as well. They're numbing themselves. They don't believe that they're capable of, a life that they can be passionate and proud and have purpose. And I feel like it's kind of our duty to show people and guide people that there's more out there than what they think. So yeah.
Wow, what transformation for you.
Yeah, a little bit. You probably wouldn't even recognize old Misty. You'd be like, who is that crazy lady?
Yeah, it's wild. Like the people that know the old version of me, like just chaotic. Like,
Yeah. And I can't imagine that with you. So
yeah,
it's like, you know what I mean? Like I just know you now, so I can't even imagine what that would be
yeah,
like. Probably our old selves would go party together. It's
probably,
probably what would happen.
probably, probably. Like sometimes I reflect back on some of the situations, and I'm like, you watch the Wolf of Wall Street kind of parties, like literally like
Yeah.
that. Like you're like,
Oh my gosh.
um,
Wow. We didn't have those kind of parties, but wow. Yeah,
just
that's
what happens when
crazy.
you're
I
on a
know. It's
team, I
just so
think.
wild to think about. Yeah, it's so crazy. So crazy. And then you wake up the next day and you're like,
Yeah,
like I'm so glad I don't wake up like that anymore.
yeah,
Like it's so
hmm
refreshing that that's like it was fun and all, but the next day was awful. And then you're like, what did I do? What did I
hmm
say? And then you do it all over
hmm
again. And it's just like this vicious cycle, but it was how we coped at that time with a lot of stuff we had going on.
hmm
And so,
So, Misty, like I said, I've got a second tradition on this podcast, which is podcast changed my
okay.
life. Not only entering me into Rob's program, but it was when I was working in a construction job and I was listening to a bodybuilder's podcast at the time, and he'd changed his life from, I think, working like fence panels and construction into entrepreneurship. And he was like, if you don't like your fucking life, like change it, do something about it. And at that point,
Yeah.
that was the start of my really drastic growth. So here's the opportunity that I wanted to give you. If you were talking back to maybe an old version of you that was listening to this podcast right now, who's on the verge of stepping into their transformation, has been thinking about doing it, has been giving themselves the, oh, I should do this, I should change, I need to change, I have to change, but hasn't actually been changing. What's the message that you would really like to spread towards that woman or guy who can resonate with your story?
I think the biggest fear around change is that it's super scary because it's overwhelming. Like we think, and I speak from personal experience, is like if we want change, we have to change everything, right? If we want a different life, we have to get up at 5 a.m. We have to do miracle morning. We have to listen to podcasts and books, and we have to, go to all these things, and it's like all has to happen again overnight type thing, right? So then they say, well, I can't really do that. I don't want to really do that. Whatever. It's too much. So I'm not going to do any of it. And one of the things that we do in the program is one of the very first things that we do in my program is start visualizing and understanding your future self. Who do you want to be? You know what I mean? Maybe that is a person that gets up at 5 a.m. and does miracle morning and journals and meditates and all the things, right? And who is she, he, whatever, how does she show up? How does she dress? How does she interact with others? Like, I want it so clear. And then I say, what's one thing that you can start doing today that she would do, right? Just one thing. And you can even ease into it. Maybe you get up at 7 a.m. and you want to start getting up at 5 a.m. Okay, well, get up at 6:30. You know what I mean? Don't jump to that. But what's one thing? Maybe spend 10 minutes journaling a day, I think we try to jump all in to everything, and guess what? That doesn't last. And so if we can just take one thing that our future self, or, because if you're pondering something, you've also thought about what life would look like as a different version of yourself, as an entrepreneur, whatever it is, right? And so you kind of know what that would look like and the things that you need to do, but just take one of those things and start doing it. And do that for a couple of weeks, a month, whatever, and then take one more thing and add it, right? Little by little. And then you're going to see it's going to become part of your routine. It's going to become part of who you are, and it's going to be easier and easier. And then before you know it, you're going to be that future version of yourself, getting up at 5 a.m., doing miracle morning, journaling, meditating, whatever. So definitely, ease into this. I think it is just so overwhelming for people. And I've done the whole miracle morning thing, and it didn't really work for me. I was just checking boxes. So now I have figured out the key things that fill my soul, right? That motivate me, that create discipline, that make me happy, that bring joy, that bring fulfillment. And I focus on those things. I don't have to do all the things, right? I don't want to just check freaking boxes anymore. I'm tired of doing that. Oh, well, I'm successful because I did miracle morning. Bullshit. Bullshit. That's not what makes you successful, right? So my definition of success is living a life of passion, positivity, and purpose. So for me, I'm going to do the things that create that for me. Monetary value, what's in my bank account, finances, does not at all tie to me feeling successful anymore. And so I just focus on the things that make me, passionate, positive, and bring me purpose. And then I feel successful. But I had to, I used to do all the things, and it really didn't do anything for me. And so it took me some time to figure out the key things that do. And that's where, again, I noticed women feeling very overwhelmed with feeling like they had to do all the things. And I'm like, no, just one. Just start with one. And then we can add, you know what I mean? But that's what I would say for those that are feeling that nudge and wanting more for themselves. You can dive all in if you want, but the likelihood of you continuing, it's too much. It's just too much. and we want you to be successful, and it's going to take time, and it's going to be small steps, and that's okay. And typically when you take the smaller steps and you know, go step by step, you're more likely to stick it out. And that's really what being an entrepreneur, you got to stick it out, right? You got to stick it out and see the end results and things like that. And so that would be my advice to my old self or anybody that is wanting to start really exploring this space of growth, development, entrepreneurship, creating a better life for themselves.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of great pointers to take out of that, and I think the step by step is definitely a flow, because it really can be challenging to do. We've seen people do the all in and it not work out. There's the percentage of people
It's
that
almost
do.
like they burn themselves
Right.
out from going all in. And if you're burning yourself out right out the gate, who's going to want to? That's not a fun life to live. I've been burned out a few times. And so if you burn out trying to make yourself better, you're going to go, well, this isn't
Yeah.
better. This isn't creating a better life for me. I'm actually more exhausted, you know? I'm more frustrated. I'm more like edgy, like I'm going to, you know, snap at people. It's like, no, 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 that's not what we want. So, yeah, I've seen it. I've experienced it. I know you have, like, you know, and so if you can learn from our, you know, journeys, that would definitely be one to take and hold close, and just one step at a
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting one for me, because it's like I haven't burnt out, so to speak, but I've had like the anxiety attacks. I've had the extreme stress. I've had the working on my birthday and then saying like, you know what, I'm not working tomorrow because like I'm so in my head right now. I actually need a day for me. But I feel really grateful that I haven't had that like extended period of burnout where people have to take like weeks, months, sometimes people even years off of doing anything. So I feel grateful for that. But Misty, I wanted to say thank you so much for
Hmm.
coming in here. I know you've talked
Yeah.
about your coaching a couple times, but do you want to drop over what you've got going on at the moment and where people can find you?
Yeah, definitely. So I run a very small, intimate group coaching program. It's an 8-week program, and it's called Her Mindset Matters, REI. And you can find information at hermindsetmattersrei.com. You can also find me on Facebook. I'm on there all the time. And our beautiful Cass is going to help me get on other platforms like, you
Mm.
know, Instagram and all that stuff. I'm still not on there really. But Facebook, you can find me on Facebook if you want to connect. You know, send me a DM and let's just chat. You know, this program, it teaches you about real estate investing. It also teaches you about, you know, building your CEO mindset. And it is women only, and that makes a big difference in the learning environment, especially in a very male dominated industry. And then I also do offer one-on-one coaching. So if you've done the small group thing or group thing and it's not really worked for you and you would like some more individualized attention, and we can talk one-on-one, and I actually literally craft a program around my one-on-one clients in regards to the things they want to work on, goals, you know, their businesses, their mindsets, all of that. So find me on Facebook or visit hermindsetmattersrei.com, and let's just chat. Let's see what you got going on and see if us working together might be a good fit to help you achieve your goals. And if so, then we can proceed forward. And if not, then maybe I have other resources I can direct you to, or people or other coaches or programs. I'm really just all about trying to provide as much value and impact to the female investing community as possible. It's growing and we're loving it. And we just really want to make sure we're supporting those female investors so they feel like absolutely anything is possible in growing their businesses and the lives that they're capable and worthy of growing for
Oh,
themselves.
Misty, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule to come over here, and for everybody listening to this as well. So, with that said, have a little bit of a think of like, who do you know who this might land with, this podcast? Because I think it's not just about me and Misty having this conversation. This grows by you guys reaching out to people that it's really going to connect with. So, think about your new mums, your young mums, or mothers that really need to connect
Yeah.
with this.
Oh, did you just call me a young
And
mom? Oh, I love you, Luke.
oh, with that said, guys,
Yes, I am. I am a young mom. I love
with
it.
that said, we totally appreciate you listening to this. So, for everybody listening, keep moving forwards. We appreciate you. Don't ever stop, and we'll catch you in the next one.